So have you ever wondered why you behave the way that you do when it comes to money? Maybe you're frugal, maybe you spend too much, whatever the case may be. But there's some sort of core beliefs that people have about their money that ultimately drive a lot of the decisions that they make from a financial perspective. So on this segment of Dollars and Cents, we're going to talk about sort of those four different types of core beliefs that we have about money and how they can impact you and sort of what you need to do to try and get on track when it comes to thinking about money. So welcome on into Dollars and Cents, where we help you make sense out of all of life's decisions involving your dollars. One of Central Florida's longest running radio programs, also a top 25 financial planning podcast. Make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Once there, hit the subscribe button so then that way you can get notified when we upload new content, which we do each and every week, of course. My name is Joel Garris, certified financial planner, certified financial fiduciary. With me is Christina Lamb, who is also a certified financial fiduciary, along with being an IRS enrolled agent, part of one of the sort of differentiating services that we offer our clients at Nelson Financial Planning, where we really do dig deep onto the tax side of things and ultimately to the extent of preparing client tax returns as well.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good time to start thinking about planning for next year. If you haven't already and you have a more complex tax scenario, it would be a great time to kind of come in for a pre-meeting for 2024 taxes. A
little strategy session, if you will. Always a good thing. And, it's one of those things that I always kind of laugh at, when the notion of having investments or planning a retirement or creating retirement income, you've really got to have that in-depth understanding of what the tax implications are. And not just, kind of estimate or approximate it. It's so much more important to really have that finely tuned, through an actual tax return, tax prep, tax analysis type of software package.
Yeah, from a tax professional. And, you'd be surprised. You think some returns are more basic, but as you move into retirement, there really can be some savings gathered by making sure you're not jumping into the next bracket, maybe taking money out from a different bucket. So over time, those tax savings can really add up.
Good money habits require that you understand the tax implications of what your investments and income are all about. And so that's our segue to the topic in this segment of Dollars and Cents. So there are identified sort of four money habits or money scripts, if you will, that people have. But many of those are, of course, started early, right? Started when we were young, and based on our perspective and how we grew up. You were sharing a funny story the other day about your dad, and kind of what they'd make you do. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I give many of my spending habit credits to my dad. At a very young age, he started teaching me about money. And while my parents were very generous about paying for whatever expenses I had, there were a few items that I always had to pay for. So back when I was 16, my dad would actually run a tally of every little thing that I borrowed money for that they wouldn't normally cover. So for example, my car payment, or if I needed a stamp, he would literally put 32 cents on the tally because I borrowed a stamp when you had to write a check and mail your payment in. It used to drive me crazy. I was like, it's 32 cents, Dad. Come on, give me a break. You just gave me $100 for a prom dress, but you're worried about the 32 cents for, a stamp.
Accountability, there's nothing wrong with that. I, by the way, you're not old enough to remember 32-cent stamps.
I remember 29-cent stamps. I actually looked up how much a stamp was.
Back then, just to verify.
Just to make sure I wasn't forgetting.
We're not fibbing on Dollars and Cents.
Absolutely.
We are fact-checking fiends, if you will, including what the price of a postage stamp was when Christina was 16.
Absolutely.
So now everybody can figure out your age, but that's okay.
But the fact of the matter is that really made me realize how much every little thing you spend money on counts. And, my husband may say I'm a little frugal on the bad side, but we always make sure that we want to have, enough to spend, enough for retirement, and enough to play.
Well, and I think, you raise a good point of, the environment that we were brought up in certainly does a lot in terms of creating our core belief about money. Certainly from my perspective growing up, we didn't have any money in our household. I mean, my mom was a school teacher, was raised by single mother, 2 kids, and school teachers back then weren't paid not paid much anyway now. But
not much has changed.
I assure you back in the 70s, they weren't, paid much at all. So, so that does really sort of drive that perspective. But at the end of the day, there's sort of identified 4 core beliefs about money, and we're going to go through them just to kind of set the stage. So, Christina, what's the first one that kind of people comes up to mind?
So the first one is money avoidance. So this is when people see money in a negative light. So they think that money makes you greedy. They may not ask for a raise or may not want to win the lottery because they think that that's going to change their life in a bad way.
And then, I guess the flip side of that, the other side of that would be that a core belief that where you focus on sort of worshiping money. I think that's probably one of the worst core beliefs that you can have about money, where you're using money or thinking that money is the only way to find happiness, or you keep buying things to improve how you feel about yourself or your well-being. But at the end of the day, that sort of money worship can lead directly to a tremendous amount of overspending.
Yep. The next one is money status. So this is when people flaunt their money and their wealth, or they value people based on their wealth standing. So this would be the typical, like, keeping up with the Joneses. You want to be like them. You want to have what they have, things of that nature.
And then the last one is one that is probably the one that is most closely associated with having good overall financial wellness, and that is this notion of money vigilance. So what that means is that people are sort of cautious about spending, diligent about saving and investing, and really have that sort of a little healthy dose of anxiety helps to keep you on track. But I guess at the end of the day, as humans, we probably all kind of have a little bit of little elements of all of these sometimes, depending upon the situation.
Oh, absolutely. But the key point is you want to identify which category you fall into, and that'll help you address any problems you might have with finances in that particular area versus overspending or even oversaving.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to look at sort of those behavior patterns and think necessarily that just sort of one is worse than the other. It's a little bit of a misconception. If you pay your bills on time, if you're managing your debt, putting money towards retirement, then, you should feel good about your finances and not try and get too stressed out about them. On the flip side, if you do have a bunch in credit card debts, and certainly these days having a bunch in credit card debts would stress anybody out with the 25-30% rates. It's just unbelievable. Then that's really where you would need to start to look at maybe changing those money beliefs.
Right, and this would be the perfect time for what they would call a rescript, or to make a correction in your money habits so that you're not falling too extreme into one scenario or another. So in the instance of spending excessively, if that makes you happy, maybe you take a minute. We actually have a coworker who does something that I love about buying things. So when he goes to the store, if he sees something he wants, he never buys it the first time. He writes it on a list and revisit it the next time that he goes shopping, and he'll see if he really truly wants it. So is it really going to make him happy, or does he just want to buy something?
Such a great idea, such great suggestion in terms of how to think about that, in terms of trying to curb those money habits to prevent poor money decisions, poor money behavior. That is for sure. So we're going to have a few more thoughts about this when we return after these messages. So stay tuned with us through the break here on Dollars and Cents with Joel Garris and Christina Lamb of Nelson financial planning.